Thank you very much for attending or joining our conference for today. For the next workshop, we will have a workshop or a discussion under the theme of enhancing the role of the family. Once again, enhancing the role of the family in instilling tolerance and peace. For that discussion, we would like to invite our dear friend from the Interreligious Affairs Committee of Archdiocese of Semarang and to be the moderator for the second discussion. And he is Mr. or Dr. Martinus Joko Lelono. For Dr. Joko, the time is yours.
Good afternoon, all speakers and participants of this session. I am honored to be here to be the moderator of this session, a part of Making Bridge for Human Fraternity and Solidarity Global Conference on Fraternity, Ukhuwah Insaniyah. I am Father Martinus Joko Lelono. I am a Catholic priest that now in charge for interreligious dialogue in Archdiocese of Semarang, Indonesia, in this Catholic Church in Yogyakarta is included. Last year, I just finished my study in ICRS, Consortium of Sunan Kalijaga State University, Gajah Mada University, and Gajah Mada and Duta Wacana Christian University. So I basically part of our beloved university in Sunan Kalijaga. Today, now we are here to have a discussion on family, a topic that related to our daily life. Our session entitled Enhancing the Role of Family in Instilling Tolerance and Peace. This topic has a relation to our main theme on Fratelli Tutti, Ukhuwah Insaniyah. Fratelli Tutti is an encyclical letter of Pope Francis that discusses also about the relation of peace within family and peace in the society. He simply discussed family in two meanings. First, family as we know consists of father, mother, husband, wife, sibling, grandparent, grandchildren, etc. While in the second meaning, he discussed about human family. You and I, we all, we are the children of our Mother Earth, and we live in our common home, this earth. So this discourse challenges us to give attention to the importance of family in a way we are building a house of peace in our present society. So we have at around 2 hours for our session now. Each speaker will deliver their speaking in 30 minutes, and two discussion will help us to elaborate this discussion in 7.5 minutes for each. So we will have a quite long time. I think this time is timely. At around 45 minutes for further discussion. During the session, you may write questions both in chat room of this Zoom or in the live chat in YouTube channel. Please mention your name, affiliation, and to whom you ask your question. So now I will introduce our first speaker. We have Dr. Ratna Rosida Abdurrazak. She is an associate professor of the Department of Government and Civilization Studies at the University Putra, Malaysia. She earned her first degree B, Human Sciences from International Islamic University, Malaysia, MA and PhD from Leeds University, UK. Her areas of interest in research and publication are civilizational studies and humanistic psychology, which she formalized in her PhD on this subject and came out with a book entitled Understanding Al-Mutanabi, a humanistic psychological approach. Her main research area is about, this is so interesting, it's about meaning, purpose, and values in life. One of her publication, I read it, is peranan institusi keluarga dalam penjanaan bangsa bertamadun, or the role of family institution in the generation of civilized nation. Discuss about several contributions of family on the better life of society. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Dr. Ratna Sida Abdul Razak. Dr. Ratna, we are honored to be here to listen to you, your presentation. You have your time now. Time is yours. Please unmute yourself.
Okay. Thank you so much, the moderator, Father Dr. Martinus Joko Lolono. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. A very good afternoon to all participants of the Global Conference on Fratelli Tutti Ukhuwah Insania. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere thanks for inviting me to speak here today. Thank you so much. Right, I would like to share my PowerPoint, but it says that host disabled participant screen sharing. So would you mind to allow me to do so? Can I? Still cannot.
Still cannot, sorry.
Yes.
Okay,
let me try. Yes, I can.
Not yet.
All right, okay, I think I can. Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Right, thank you so much, Doctor. Okay, I hope everybody can see my slide now. Okay. Right. So, well, yeah, for today, I would like to share my presentation entitled Enhancing the Role of the Family in Instilling Tolerance and Peace. Yeah. So for the topic of my discussion today, yeah, I will start with introduction, very brief introduction, and I'll go to discussion, which I will revolve around three main topics. First, what is value, why it is important, and also how family can play roles in nurturing it. And then last but not least, conclusion. Well, let me start with the introduction. Family institutions are crucial in tackling our society's current societal concerns of family breakdown and moral degradation. Because family institutions bear the primary responsibility for the education and socialization of children, as well as instilling values, right? Instilling values of citizenship and belonging in the society. So for me, this keyword, the value is a very important keywords in talking about tolerance and peace. Family is the primary source of value, right? So it is obvious that moral development, attitude, character formation, the ability to distinguish between good and bad, and any other types of development is all begin with family. So the purpose of my presentation today is to demonstrate how important family institutions are in developing principles or value of peace and tolerance. Yeah. So let me start with my first main topic. So what is value, right? So with a very simple definition, value is a basic and fundamental principles that direct or inspire attitudes and behavior. So why it is important? Yeah, it reflects our sense of right and wrong. It reflects the decision that we make every day And of course, it helps us grow and develop. So we might ask where it comes from. Okay, for this value, it starts with a belief. So belief is a key word to define value, because all of values come from underlying belief. Okay. So to understand where our value come from, it begins with our belief. The quality of our value will ultimately be determined by the source of our belief. So for this, I would like to share this picture. It's a iceberg, but I think this is the best to portray or to discuss about value, how the value originates. Okay, because for me, it's a very crucial. First and foremost, we know what it is. As I said, peace and harmony, peace and tolerance is a part of value. So what is value and where it comes from? So for this, I would like to show this. So it's easier for us to have a big picture where it comes from, right? So this is an iceberg, as we know that the upper one is the 10% that people can see, but the 90% underneath is nobody can't see, but only we ourselves know, right? So as I said, that value, it comes from our belief, yeah, comes from our belief and such our worldview. As we know that a worldview is the set of belief about fundamental aspect, okay, especially what is good and what is bad. And so normally for this worldview and belief, it comes from religions, okay, regardless of any religions, okay, it's all, I mean, will guide us, okay, this is right and this is wrong. And from this, it emerged the value, right? Right. So this is another example of the value, as I stated here: health, love, happiness, gratitude, appreciation, kindness, compassion, integrity, tolerance, peace. It's all values. So these values is all come from how our beliefs, right? So regardless of any religions, okay, it's from this come value, and from this value, it be the underlying or underpin our behavior, right? So that's why the behavior that or the with the values, we call it ethical behavior. Okay, so it shows that how crucial it is, because this is how it determines our behavior, whether it's ethical or it's not, is unethical, right? So that's why I think we should, I mean, in talking about peace and tolerance, because we should know the value itself, I mean, how it originates, how it comes from. And this 90%, I would consider this, if we go back to our domain of ourself, our component that we have, this is all happened in the spiritual domain. Okay, the spiritual domain, the domain that we cannot see, but it's a very crucial one. Okay, so this is where it comes from. So that's why this value, we could say as well, that is also spiritual value, is a religious value, and also moral values. Okay, it's all values, right? So because it carry the same purpose, okay, it carried the same purpose, and it shows that how significant it is in order for someone to behave in ethical way, right? So okay, this is the, as I said, this is a spiritual component or spiritual domain. Okay, why? For me, it's a crucial, when we talk about value, we should understand this. Okay, right? So this is about how the domain of ourself, I would like to divide it into three main domains. physical, intellectual, and this is the spiritual, right? So my explanation, this is based on the Islamic perspective. I believe, right, for each and every religion, they have their own how to explain, okay, this domain, the spiritual domain, right? Since I'm very familiar with Islamic perspective, so there you go. So this is where the spiritual domain, where the all values originate here, because this spiritual domain, the spiritual component is actually the essence of a person, right? So according to Islamic perspective, it's clear that because here there is a soul, right? A spirit, and in this spirit we have a heart. In Arabic, it's called a qalb, and this is in this qalb or heart. We got it that the soul, the ruh, and the ruh is also always connect to mind or to intellect, and all these component actually it's not on its own, but it relate to each other. But since you are talking about value, so this is the very main component. It's a very crucial component to understand that, yeah, how it originates. So this is where, because this is the essence of ourselves, the essence of a person, right? So, okay, I would like to share that, as I said, that regardless of any religions, okay, when we talk about value, value as a human being, there's a called a human value. So as long as we are human value, we need the same value. So that's why we go back to religion. Each and every religion is actually ask or invite people to do good deeds. Okay, there is the universality of the religion, right? So we may see here the universality of the golden rules in the words of religions. Okay, like, okay, maybe we can go first. Christianity, how the essence of the teaching, as it says that all things whatsoever that man should do to you, do you so to them. For this is the law of the prophet. And for Confucianism also, do not do to others what you would not like yourself. Okay, then there will be no resentment against you either in the family or in the state. And we have a look, if we have a look from Buddhism, hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. In Hinduism, and also Islam, Judaism, Taoism, Zoroastrianism. So this is actually the essence of religion, which is to invite people to do good deeds. And if we go back to the value, right, the belief. So this is the belief that emerged, the value. So as long as we are human being, we need this value, because, and this value also, if I may say, this is a spiritual value, because it originates from the spiritual domain, spiritual component. And also this value of we are human being, we need this value because from the spiritual domain, spiritual component. And also this value also is a religious value, right? So yeah, today we are talking tolerance and peace, but it also connects with other values, for example, love and compassion and kindness. Okay, so it means that in each and every value, it relates to each other. Okay, but at least today, we know that, yeah, we are talking about value, peace, and tolerance, and we know how it originates, I mean, from in ourselves. Yeah. So, yeah, the top 10 human values, regardless of any religion we practice, what skin color we are, as long as we are human value, we are human being, we need this value, right? For example, life, right? We know that life is a gift, so we need to embrace it and tell our children that to value life and also have love and compassion, okay? Gratitude and appreciation, kindness, yeah, and peace. giving, growth, integrity, friendship, and connection, as well as happiness. So I put it as a top human core value, right? The human core value, it means that wherever we are, as long as we are human being, we need this, right? So the same goes to the values of peace and tolerance. As long as we are human being, we need this, right? We need this value, peace and harmony. Okay. So for this, when we are talking about value, right, peace and harmony, I would like to highlight how, from Islamic perspective, from the Quranic verses, okay, it mentions that the reason that we have been created from male, female, and in many nations and tribes is actually we have reason, okay, it is to know one another, okay, lita'arafu. So this spirit, lita'arafu, to know each other is actually the reason, right? So we need to know each other because this is the reason why we've been created with these many parts of tribes and nations. Okay, there is a purpose on that, to know each other. Yeah, but we say that, oh, it's not easy then. Yeah, it's not easy because I mean, to understand and then to know the culture, with a different culture, different religion. Yeah, so that's why if we have the core values, the same core values, so this thing can happen. Okay, right. So to instill peace, okay, to instill peace, it involves the process of promoting the knowledge. Okay, first and foremost, yeah, we need to have knowledge and skill and attitude needed to bring about behavior changes that will enable children to, right? By having this, of course, it can prevent conflict and violence, okay, both overt and structural, to resolve conflict peacefully, and to create the condition conducive to peace, whether at an intrapersonal, interpersonal, intergroup, national, or international level, right? So this is according to UNICEF 1999. Okay. So because the basic thing, the individual and the core, the essence of individual is settled, i.e. they possess the human value, right? So it can easily happen. Okay. So in the words of Mahatma Gandhi, it says that if we are to teach real peace in the world, we shall have to begin with children, right? Children from the very first social institution, which is family. So above the definition of peace, it is obvious that the peace, okay, the value, this value, the peace value, is usually defined as a valuable feature for resolving issues and healing the damage done to a society worn out by war or conflict, as well as peace education as a strategy for conflict prevention. Okay. So what is peace, right? So how we going to explain, how to deliberate what is peace, right? So I use the Mr. Javier Perez, we call her, when we want to talk about peace, right? Yeah, he just says that world peace grows through nonviolence, acceptance, fairness, and communication. Okay? And peace begin with each one of us, right? Begin with each one of us, and also we should know where it begins. And as I said earlier, it's all from our heart, okay, which reside in a spiritual domain or a spiritual component. So if everyone in the world were peaceful, this world would be a peaceful world. And the authenticity of actions depend on authenticity of person. Okay? Peace is a calm and relaxed state of mind. It's a harmony. Peace is inner silence filled with the power of truth. Peace consists of pure thoughts, pure feelings, pure wishes, and pure intention. Peace is a quality energy, And then to stay peaceful requires compassion and strength. As I say, that each and every value, each actually relate to each other. And this ourselves as a three main component. I believe maybe some of you have 4 or 5%, but for me, I love to have it three main components, which is physical components, intellectual components, and spiritual components. Okay, so the aspect of intellectual component is most of it we can I mean it's a task we can give it to school to handle this task, but to nurture or to educate the component, the inside, the spiritual component, okay, this is the main task need to be done by the each and every family. Okay, why? Because we always know that civic-minded begins at home. In fact, according to Bideron, okay, the philosopher in civilization, he says that family is a nucleus of civilization, right? So for this, I believe that this is what is a very crucial is a agent of education, but to educate what? To educate this component, the spiritual component. Why? Because it is where the value come in, okay, the values. Yeah. So why we need to educate this value? Yeah, because the vast human resource of our children must be viewed as a crucial force in peaceful society, social development. And in fact, in this current situation, okay, it provides an opportunity to think outside the box about how our children need to survive and thrive in today's rapidly changing and uncertain world, okay, as known as VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, right? So indeed, this is we know this is a very crucial for each and family institution to understand that we need to prepare, we need to educate our children so as they can, regardless of any situation, right, any catastrophe or any uncertainty, they manage to, to live there. But it all begins with the parents, okay, with us as adults. And also, as regard to the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, I think SDG number 16, that is to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, to provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. So it should begin with family institution, okay? Family institution. So how to educate and instill the values, right? Yeah, the peace and tolerance. It's more or less the same. How to educate and instill other values, love, compassion, kindness, integrity, right? Health, okay? It's all because, as I said, that each and every value, it connects or it relates to each other. Okay? So the parents function in this regard as a very important role, which as such may be divided into 2 parts of direction. First, it relates to children's defense and protection. Okay, how to defend, to protect the physical aspect. And second, related to children's overall development, okay, physical, intellectual, and spiritual. Okay, this is one to provide the environment, and this is to overall development, physical, intellectual, spiritual, but mainly I would like to stress is about spiritual development. And again, so this is the diagram, the physical, the intellectual, the spiritual, right? So the physical, how to ensure that they are healthy, within a very conducive environment, and also the intellectual, how they can study well, perform well, be better in terms of the mastery knowledge and whatnot. And this is the third one, the main, the spiritual domain, the essence of person. Remember, because this is where we have spirit, we have heart and the soul, right? Because again, according to Islamic perspective, this soul is immortal, right? So this is what determines us, okay, as a human being, right? Again, this is according to Islamic perspective. I believe each and every religion, you have an explanation about this. But when we are talking about the spiritual, the value, peace, and harmony, I would like to relate this because this is where it emerges, where it originates. Right. So the parents' protection as a function embeds several types of action and or types of functions. The first type is connected to physical protection, right? Or of the child, which means that children must be provided healthcare and hygiene conditions so that they could have a healthy life in a warm home environment in every sense of the word, including the environment, the ambience where the child lives, which must be well enlightened and healthy place. This is all the physical component, physical aspect. And the second type is a spiritual protection, which can be reflected through the just emotional security and psychological protection. Okay, and the third type also connected the second type, which is to educate them to seek and to love knowledge, right? To seek and to love knowledge. Okay, so it goes to these three main components. Okay, is how we ourselves are. Right, so each child which grows up and is educated in the presence of mother, okay, for sure is expected to reach an appropriate physical, psychological, as well as social development. So in this regard, they appear joyful and they appear to enjoy childhood in general. They are communicative and willing to collaborate as a result. Why? Because all the three components, all the three domains being well taken care of. So for these reasons, okay, mother's love and care to the child is full and well completed, and as such is often accepted by other members of the family members. So this type of cultivated love and affection can be qualified as a key condition for an appropriate development of the children in a given family. So the basic, the fundamental is about love and affection. So when there's a love and affection, it means that the children grow very well. Okay. So the spiritual values, okay, all the values I've mentioned before are not transmitted by osmosis, but the transmission of value does not happen automatically, but parents must wrap and values around words, example, and experiences, right? So this is how we can transmit the values, right? So I would like just to show that this is a very practical way how to inculcate the values, but of course it depends on our children. I mean, that's in terms of their age, right? It differ, in terms of the age, but basically the concept is the same. Okay, first maintain the positive attitude, encourage family bonding, set clear ground rules, reward a child, show respect. Okay, so this is according to a research, right? So if we can maintain this as parents, okay, and a way is a practical way to nurture value. Remember, regardless of any value, I believe that we manage to do so. I mean, to inculcate the value of peace and tolerance and any other values in the children, right? So to conclude, families play a very critical role in nurturing, educating, and bringing up their children. And families' functions encompasses a variety of behaviors that affect all three types of growth, namely physical, intellectual, and spiritual. Okay, so this spiritual, why? Because it's all for the value, a spiritual value, or we can say it's a religious value. It comes from here. So to instill peace, it entails promoting the knowledge, skill, and attitude necessary to help children prevent conflict and spread love and compassion. Yeah, I would like to stress that the most crucial values is about love and compassion. Okay, whether on the intrapersonal, interpersonal, intergroup, national, or international level. So it means that the connection, right? The connection towards he or himself, yourself, and also to others, and then to others is mostly your family, your community, and to the world as a whole. Okay, but the connection must be there. Okay, and then next, parent must wrap the values around words, example, and experience. Okay, so which will provide a handle for the children to hold on. Right. With that, I would like to say thank you so much for listening. That's it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ratna Rosida Abdul Razak, for this insightful speaking. I follow our discussion in chat room, and they wish to have the text, and they wish to learn more about this topic. Then I just highlight one point, that to instill peace, it entails promoting the knowledge, skill, and attitudes necessary to help children prevent conflict and violence. Within this context, family has its important position to instill what you mentioned many times, the spiritual values. Family as the most effective agent of education. This is the word, most effective agent of education. Word, example, and experiences. Values is not a domination of one single religion. It is human values, as we know in the golden rules, and the basic of peace is love and compassion. Thank you very much for this insightful speaking, and we will continue our discussion in the question and answer later in our discussion. Now I introduce you our second speaker, Ms. Dwi Robianti Khalifa. She earned Bachelor of English Department, Faculty of Literature, State University of Jember, and Master of Art and Health and Social Science, Faculty of Social Science and Humanities, Mahidol University, Thailand. She is now Secretary General of ASEAN Muslim Action Network, or AMAN, and country representative of AMAN in Indonesia. Her role is to expand peace initiatives across nations and generations, especially to bring leadership of women into decision-making process relating to peace building, facilitate inter and intra-faith, and strengthen collaboration across Muslim communities in Asia. When I read the CV, there are long list of journals and articles, so I just conclude this way. She is active in writing articles regarding women's issues, minorities' rights, and role of women in peace building in journals, also several articles both in online and offline media. Ms. Dwi Ruby Khalifah, thank you for your presence here. And now time is yours to present your speaking. Please. Okay. Unmute yourself. Oh, please, the host. Okay.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me start by appreciating the organizer for having this important global conference. In particular, it is very timely to discuss about the family and how family can function positively. And thank you, Pak Martin, for the beautiful introduction about me. I myself rather known as a practitioner working on the women and peace building in national level and also at the global level as part of the global advocate on the women, peace and security. So I would like to really appreciate for the presentation of Ibu Ratna that actually provided a strong foundation when we talk about the family. So my job will be easier because I am going to share with you how in practical we actually can strengthen family resilience as well as to strengthen the community resilience. So my presentation today, I am interested to explore more the work of the Asian Muslim Action Network that have been working in Indonesia in strengthening community resilience in 40 communities in 7 provinces in Indonesia. And I am interested to begin with the story of Rohima, one of the leaders that have been working with us, joining with the program that we set up to help her in bringing resilience for herself and her family, as well as spreading in the community. So she was very silent when I met her for the first time in 2007, long time ago, yeah. She came to us with a group of women to request us to stay after relief program in Jakarta responded big flood 2007. And we agreed with that offer because we love to work with the community. We started the program called Women's School for Peace. And then we didn't have a module at that time, but what we thought is how to create ordinary women to be extraordinary. And then the community will use it and more benefit for wider community. And now if you meet her, she becomes one of the strong leaders in the community that strengthens social solidarity to take care of the family affected by COVID-19. She also pioneered to push the family to take care of each other by collecting the donation door to door and helping the family in need, and also confronts a lot of misconception of COVID-19 in community, including promoting tolerance and peace. In the last 14 years that we have been working together, she successfully transformed her community to be more sensitive to conflict and respect women's rights, promote caring and loving instead of hatred. She becomes a role model in her family and community. In her limited economic capacity, she is able to send her 2 daughters to university, bring equal responsibilities in the family, and inspire husband and 2 daughters to be more active in the community. So that Rohima, one of the good example how transformation is very possible happening, in individual. The other story that I would like to share with you is the story of Roswuri from Poso, Central Sulawesi. When I met her in 2010, Muslim and Christian in Poso were mostly living divided after peace agreement signed in 2002. Wuri lost her family members during the conflict. There were a lot of people did not come back to their home village. So you can see that a lot of burned house abandoned, and also empty land because people still not believing, go back to their village and then restore their relation. And we started Women's School for Peace to provide an exchange room for Muslim and Christian mothers to share their feeling in rebuilding the community. After a series of regular class, Wuri initiated an organic farming. She got permission from the landowners in her area to utilize abandoned land. In the last 5 years, she and her group have been earning some extra income from planting vegetable, as well as to gradually restore distrust among Muslim and Christian. When mothers in that area, Muslim and Christian, began to hold joint Christmas and Eid al-Fitr, the children started to innovate more gathering and more meeting with one another, which they are different faiths. So what I would like to say here is from the 2 examples of Rohima and Wuri, Aman Indonesia was an intention to actually pick up or approach a women, because we know that the women close to the narrative of life. Why? Because the life begins in the women womb. And then the women understand how suffering to carry the life and how joyful to carry the life. And then we assume and then we prove it that the women more care to the life. But I don't say that man doesn't care with the life. Men also care with the life. But as our strategy, we know that the women representing one of the marginalized group in the community. And when you approach the women, you actually able to approach the entire of the marginalized groups in the community. Because in the women, the intersectional perspective is always alive. Women always thinking others who are not actually in fortunate situation, who are often marginalized. So therefore, working with the women is one of the strategies, so we can get a lot of actors actually connected. Then with that, the program is able more sustainable, as well as get a lot of support. So working with the women, yes, this is our priority, but engaging the family and the community are also most the priority in our program, because by end of the day, we would like to see not only individual resilience growing through our program, but also actually the community resilience that we are expecting happen, so that people will learning more and more the values of caring and loving, the values of respect one another, and the value of embracing diversity, and on and on. So this is the model that Aman applying so far in the last 14 years in Indonesia, and Women's School for Peace as the incubator, an incubator for women leadership in the community. This is kind of engine how we can transform individual leadership with the values of peace, and also skill of the leadership, where the women has the enough knowledge about women, peace and security. They have enough knowledge on the conflict resolution, and they have a good attitude of caring, openness and solidarity, as well as positive attitude toward diversities, so that we know that women will be in front to actually respond any kind of potential violence happening in the family as well as in the community. From that level, we bring the women into more higher level, how they can transform relational and engage and relational to be more, sharing responsibilities in the family as well as in the community. We want the women to have a family culture of openness, having a good approach on the parenting, as well as involved in any level of decision making in the community. And then we bring them more further as a leader to ensure that the structural transformation and cultural transformation really taking place, not only by herself, but also by the group, the Women's School for Peace, as well as the entire of the family. And this is the model. And this is the picture how the program is running. And the Women's School for Peace is actually believing that when mothers empowers, we'll be able to empower family and entire of the community. And we actually helping to simplify or to make it understandable all the complicated concept on peace building, conflict resolution, and also the gender equality, to make them understand, including understanding their basic rights and their civil rights and all the human rights that the women need to know. So this is the small class. In each village, we only have 30 people engaged in that, in order to be able for Aman to manage as well as for them to grow. but it's not actually stopping in that part. They need to be able to finish 2 years module, how to be the good leader, so then they can actually facilitate the next class and continuing the initiative. If you see that how we actually transform, we provide safe space to interact with the women from different religion, because we know that one of the very limited access in Indonesia is actually exploring, experiencing how we actually communicate and even day-to-day living with the people different religion. Not only all of us having that kind of opportunity. And we use women's storytelling as the therapy to speak and active listening. We build the empathy, we dive in memory of living together before the conflict. If we work in the area of the conflict, in particular like Poso, for example, they had a memory of how beautiful being together. But after the conflict, the memory just swept up by the violence and how hatred among, between Muslim and Christian. So the approach by bringing back the memory of living together, very helpful for them to appreciate how beautiful being together, and how we can revive our beautiful memory in the future. And affirm women identity as genuine peacemaker, and also in supporting the organization to work together with the local government so they can actually growing. So the class is moving from one house to another house. Is very variety. If the local leader provided a good a place, so they can actually use the place. And this is the picture how Roswuri actually able to restore relationship with any level of decision making in the community. And then we bring the more women and men and the children from different background using the organic farming. And it is very lucky for Wuri was able to convince the landowner to and in using the land for planting vegetable. Then they can earn together. So basically, what I want to say is actually they create a natural space for Muslim and Christian mother to start interaction, and the organic farming become very strategic because they don't need talking about theological thing on their belief, but they just actually can working together through day-to-day activity in the organic farming. So now they are open for receiving any other group who willing to learn about interfaith organic farming, in particularly how actually to restore relationship from Muslim between Muslim and Christian. And what the lesson that we learn here is the exchange spaces need to be created in community. And we believe that mothers from different faith and ethnicity background are engaged in day-to-day dialogue is more effective actually to change their attitude and behavior. And that is the exchange spaces by intention need to be created. We cannot just giving this to the nature, because in many community setting in Indonesia, the exchange spaces is not always there. So we really need to create it for the community to be able or to get used to communicate one another. And learning different religion in the program will create a more opportunity to expose other person belief and increase more understanding, including, we talk about parenting. I think one of the very strong influence to the mothers at that time is actually the approach in the nonviolent parenting skill, so then they can actually learning how to treat children equally and approaching with nonviolence. In that case, men and children engaged in women empowerment program is the key to transform the family and community, because the women cannot change the community alone. It needs to be supported by all the actors in the community, and the family is really playing critical role in this case. So sharing responsibility and provide equal roles in the family is the basic transformation that we would like to see. Because if you only see transformation outside the house, and then in the house, the relation is still unequal, the women still holding the burden of the gender role, for example, is not going to really having sustainable change, in the community. So therefore, family is very important to be transformed. And then empower mothers could actually teach the children and husband by day-to-day practices instead of lecturing and using doctrination. However, the world is shifting into more complex right now, as the nature of extremism in Indonesia also shifted. Using Professor Ruhaini Zuhayati, from backyard to dining room, the metaphor would like to explain to us that the terrorism and extremism used to be hidden or secretly operating, and only men doing that, and the women don't know what to do with the husband. But now they are shifting into where the women and the children may engage into this action, and the gender stereotyping is no longer binary opposition, because if you see the propaganda currently, they are very clever to using any narrative. They're able actually to bring feeling of empower, of feeling of liberation, so that the women able to actually engage. Just give you an example on how actually dangerous it is by pick up the research from IPAC, International Policy Analysis on Conflict, number 35. I think is very good as the example on how changings of role inside women's role inside extremist group is really new threat for all of us, and we need to bring this into very serious. If you, all of you brothers and sisters, looking at the blue color, you will see how the development is really changing, along with the present of internet and social media in Indonesia. And if before women only very concerned on the hijab, raising the children, but then now here you will see that more women actually very active in different layer of the recruitment and different layer of how the women to be in front. They are very active in building the jihad virtual community. They are active in doing recruitment, in debate, writing, disseminating online propaganda, fundraising, and also even they are very active in taking a weapon training, physical weapon training. So meaning that they are ready. Why they are so ready? Because there's a huge shifting fundamental values on jihad. Yeah, from jihad tandim to jihad fardiyah. Sorry, mispronounced. The approval from leader no longer actually necessary. If you connect it, then you can just easily to perform jihad. Then there is strong demand from the women from extremist group want to have equal recognition, because they also need the jihad to be recognized as equal as men. But the system is not like that. The jihad to battle is much more actually recognized than jihad in the family. And the death of traditional cell system currently, that actually bringing a lot of idea on how family can be a new cell system for the terrorism. So then they don't need to go outside. while going outside, it's easy to detect by security force, detachment 88. So then family become really battleground right now for radicalization and then bringing children as well. And the presence of internet and social media become more and more and widening for the recruitment in Indonesia, including where we criticizing the lack of gender mainstreaming in Indonesia. That also government from national government and also local government need to pay attention on how actually make sure that gender analysis using in any aspect of decision making. Because of that reason, why families become very crucial. Go back to our work has been done since 2007. Now we're facing the new type of threat in our society, but we're still believing that family will function very well if we actually strengthen their resilience. I think a lot of study already prove that the family can be, can prevent or can facilitate to radicalization. And because having two sides, of course, we have to believe that the family really can actually helping the members, the husband as well as the children and the other family member to enjoy, the different values, which is more positive. And I believe that the role of mother is very crucial, because mother in our society are situated at the heart of the family and are often best placed to identify, predict, and respond to potential vulnerability to violent extremism. And we have a lot of cases that women are also well positioned to offer meaningful counter narrative. So I am very positive about that, as well as in our work, we already proven that building the resilience inside the family will actually helping us to build resilience in the community by increasing trust and confidence among the children, including the husband, and then provide a warm and open relation inside the family, including equal gender relation. Then involving actively in helping the extended family and the community, because when the family actually change, our community will actually have a stronger resilience. Yes, this is my last slide. What are the sources of resistance that we believe that women can do? Women close to the narrative of life, I think I explained before. And I think through the program, if women has a critical thinking and they are exposed to the plural habitus, understanding different reference, school of thoughts, the scholar and some other diverse knowledge, friends and practices in understanding religion, they will be much more stronger in actually influencing even the entire of the family, because the critical thinking is actually the key. The warm and close relationship inside family and friendship is actually been proven by many research. The broken family is actually one of the vulnerability why children recruited by extremism. Because of that, we need to have our family strong, open, equal, warm, and close relation one another. And the last one, create new spaces is very important to have exposure differences and create a doubt inside somebody who believing in a radical thinking. When she or he exposing into different aspect of life, engaging with the different actors coming from different religion, ethnicity, whatsoever, including sexual orientation and gender expression, so that actually creating doubts inside herself. When doubt is created, that actually the good signal, because that actually the step how she can or she start finding the alternative information, and that is the way she can actually disengage with any influence of the radical thinking. So thank you so much for the opportunity. I am interested to hear from your response, including your experience working in strengthening resilience in individual, family, or even the community. Thank you so much, and I give back to the moderator.
Thank you,
Assalamualaikum.
Miss. Yeah, Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Miss Ruby, for your enlightening speaking. Speaking starting from the theme of Dr. Ratna on the importance of family, and then work with peace initiative in the middle of challenging time, especially the role of women in the life of family. And I highlight one sentence: working with the women is actually one of strategies to promote peace. Thanks for the sharing experiences to engage women in struggling for peace initiative, peace in the family, as a relation to the peace of society. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And now for further elaboration of this discussion, we invite to discussion Sati Saidiah, psychology MSc from Sunan Kalijaga State University. She is lecturer at Program of Studi Psikologi Fakultas Ilmu Sosial dan Humaniora Universitas Islam Negeri Sunan Kalijaga. Right now, she is doing her PhD at Central Queensland University, Australia. Her areas of research is concerning on families and psychosocial spiritual dynamic. Her latest work was the initial marriage problems of the first 5 years marriage and the second 5 years in Yogyakarta. Now for Ms. Sati Saidiah, time is yours to have an elaboration of our two speakers today, please. Mbak Sati, please unmute yourself. Please, the host to unmute.
Okay, thank you, Pak Martin, for my time. Good afternoon for Indonesian. Happy to see you all, presenter Dr. Ratna and Mbak Ruby. A lot of knowledge from today conference. I'm going to talk about culture of peace tolerance in Indonesian family. I will share my presentation.
Yes.
Can I share? Sorry. Okay.
Because?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Please be short if we have like 7 minutes. Okay.
So this one, okay?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
There.
Okay. Today I'm going to talk about culture of peace and tolerance in Indonesian family. The crucial issue in every country, as I highlight from Dr. Ratna, we ensure sustainable development goals number 16, right? Peace, justice, strong institution. And by 2030, give an opportunity for people enjoy peace and stability without conflict and less violence. Before turning to the next slide, I give one example how harmony interfaith in Pakistan. This is according to Akbar and Yasmin research. Yeah, Pakistan is Islamic state and Muslim country. However, they believe or they have a diverse in faith and belief such as Sunni, Shia, Ahmadiyya, Sikh, and Zoroaster, and other religion. And 98% people live in harmony. Perhaps you wonder why it could be state protect everyone, every individual without discrimination, and how state policies and politicians also promote peace and harmony. This is why. And luckily, I was there for 4 years in Pakistan. Okay. Today, I will discuss about culture of peace and tolerance in Indonesian family. The second one, where child learn tolerance in formal and informal institution. The third one, how introduce culture and peace in everyday life. How curriculum Muslim family intolerance and communication style in family, school, community, and society. The last one, challenge for Muslim family in Indonesia. Yes, actually, if we talk about culture of peace and tolerance in Indonesia, it become a long historical background. But today, this is has one choice for today multicultural in Indonesia. And I can illustrate in Yogyakarta. Perhaps you who live in Yogyakarta used to live in diverse from early childhood. As you know that Yogyakarta is one example city with multicultural and complex subculture. As I can remember when I was a child, there is some Javanese religion, how to worship, and every we say Friday or Jumat Kliwon, we we have such a ritual in Jumat Kliwon. And by that time, the curiosity of child about the ritual came up, and we asked to Ustad, or we say teacher madrasah, in afternoon teacher. And you know, the teacher explained wisely. That's why there is no what we say hatred, or we cannot blame others with this ritual. This is about Yogyakarta. Another key that Dursum Belgin et al. In 2017, family has responsible to provide good communication style in the early child to introduce empathy where he or she lives in. Yes. Now, where a child learns tolerance from formal and informal institution. Yeah. The family, duty of family and school introduce the idea of tolerance in a whole society. In this matter, Indonesian Muslim internalize children about culture of peace with Islamic religion. They respect from the beginning. They taught about fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence, and actually halal haram is clear for them. But you know, from the early child, they give like prepare the mentality that there are many religions in this world to accept, to respect. And then, as you know, in the morning, they go to government school, but in the afternoon, madrasah or afternoon school, they learn about Islamic ideology, jurisprudence, and morality. Okay, next. Peace, yeah, in Arabic mean sulhu asilmi al-aman. It mean peace in mind, heart, feeling toward themselves and others. One example about peace, how to introduce culture of peace in everyday life for the children. You know, you can see the picture. There are two pictures. The first one is this one. Okay, the second one. Which one do you like to choose? The first one or the second one? Okay, yeah. Sometimes we understand that peace life could found without conflict, problem, obstacle, hectic, and rush. But actually, in everyday life, we also can introduce to our children, peace is not just what we say, obstacle, conflict. But we have to introduce to our children how to learn peace in heart, mind, even we live in the midst of conflict. Today in the pandemic, we live in mid of unfinished, what we say, stay at home. This one. This is culture of peace. Next, about tolerance. Tolerance, we can say accept and respect. This is two keywords about tolerance. And in a Muslim concept, tolerance is how family introduce children for understanding Islamic religion or Islamic ideology, jurisprudence, and morality or akhlaq. So in the early child, family explain how the diversity of religion in this world, Muslim and non-Muslim. We cannot force the diversity to be one, but family provide the understanding of morality, how to respect others, how to behave with non-Muslim. Like we know that we have non-Muslim parents or relatives. So how to we have like a morality to behave to them. And the third one, when they grow up, they even never blame others to be wrong or never surprised with difference in this ritual. Why? Because they respect others. Okay, we can recap that family, school, and community in society take good place to begin with the process of tolerance communication style. Islam come in harmony, Islam rahmah for all, but you know, the first place is family. How to introduce them, our prophet loved children in celebrating it. How the history of our prophet become one curriculum with every teachers and student, and how he give like example, good example towards non-Muslim. Last but not the least, family become the first place to provide culture, peace, and tolerance. How family use the communication style enhance foundation to improve empathy and respect others' perspective. Family become home, be first place overcome crisis and turbulence in religion harmony. However, our challenge, madrasah teachers, afternoon teachers should be wise how to bring understanding culture of peace and bring Muslim in every nation. Cultivate the model of prophet how to behave with other religions. Understanding tolerance not make diversity religion to be one, but to strengthen morality toward religion and respect them. And the curriculum of Muslim family to respect other must be strengthened in schools, community, and society. The last one, social media can be tools to spread education for peace, tolerance, and especially for youth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ibu Sati. And now we continue with Reverend Paulus Sugeng Wijaya, MFS PhD. He is a lecturer at Faculty of Theology. Now he is assistant professor in Christian Ethics and Peace Studies, Faculty of Theology, Universitas Kristen Duta Wacana. Paulus, time is yours. Please, the host, to unmute Paulus. The host, please, cannot be opened by the discussion. Sorry, wait a minute. Mas Dani, please unmute Pak Paulus, the operator. Mas Isra. This, Mas Dani, I cannot make it.
Okay.
Okay, Pak Paulus, please.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, sorry for the inconvenience. Yes, my task is to give response to what Dr. Ratna Abdul Razak and Dr. Ruby Khalifah have mentioned. And so what I would like to spell out here, there are several things. First is that before we move forward to discuss about the role of family in nurturing peace and tolerance, I think we need to be clear first of what we are talking about, what kind of tolerance that we mean here. I remember, or I recall the preamble of the Constitution of UNESCO that says, since wars begin in the minds of men, it is in the minds of men that the defenses of peace must be constructed. So when we use the word tolerance, I think we have to be clear first, because the word tolerance can be a disguised form of a very individualistic philosophy that says that I will not bother you as long as you do not bother me. And that is tolerance. And so it is a very shallow tolerance, because its goal is simply to achieve a peaceful coexistence. So as long as you do not bother me, then I will not bother you as well. So, but in my opinion, what we need to strive for is not a simple peaceful coexistence, but rather a peaceful pro-existence. And that is, in my opinion, the real tolerance. In a peaceful pro-existence, we believe that I live because you live, and you live because I live. So if I die, then you will die. And if you die, I will also die. So that is the kind of tolerance that we have to be clear. So it's not a shallow tolerance. It's like an ecosystem where each and every element within it is interconnected to one another. So this is, I think it's very, very important that we have to be clear. What we are talking here is a very, very deep tolerance. It's not a shallow one. So that is the first thing. Secondly, I agree with what Dr. Ratna Abdul Razak has mentioned about the importance of value, belief, and worldview. Because in my experience, I believe that character is always formed by 4 crucial and important aspects. I use different terms, but basically it's similar. What I call the 4 crucial and important aspects is virtue, telos, this is from a Greek word, narrative, and social practice. So the 4 elements should be there if we are wanting to create a culture of peace in our family, in our children. Dr. Abdul Razak mentioned about value and belief. And in my opinion, value and belief is virtue, and worldview is what I call telos. So virtue is a combination between power and excellence. So it's not just simply a passive disposition, but it is both disposition and the action that brings the disposition or our belief concretely. So this is not just an inner disposition, but when we are acting out that disposition, so both of them are what I call virtue. So this concern with both attitude, but also behavior. So this is very, very important, because the cultivation of virtue depends a lot on what we say, or what becomes our telos. In Dr. Abdul Razak's term is worldview. Telos is very, very important, because this is a kind of orientation of our life. If there is no sun, then we will get lost in a city, a strange city, a foreign city. We do not know where is north, where is south, where is east, or where is west. But when there is a sun, then we know exactly where is north and where is west. And therefore, telos is very, very important here, because it is the telos that will guide us to distinguish between vice and virtue. Yeah. Because otherwise we cannot distinguish which one is virtue, which one is vice. So that is very, very important to have a telos. And over here, that religion becomes very important, because it is religion that will guide us and help us to inform us what our telos should be. It will determine what our ultimate vision, our ultimate worldview. So the religion will determine what is right on earth as it is in heaven. And that is why it's very, very important here that when we are talking about the culture of peace, about how we can nurture our family and our children in peace and tolerance, then we have to be clear about what tolerance is and also about what our telos is, what our worldview is. And this should be inspired by what we believe in, because it will connect directly earth and heaven. And thirdly, I also agree with Dr. Ruby Khalifa about the importance of narrative, because this narrative can be very, very challenging in a world full of violence and hatred. Therefore, narrative is very, very important, because we live in a world in which people always say about how we can divide people between we and them in a very binary opposition about black and white. And if you are not my friend, then you are my enemies. So this kind of binary vision or binary perspective is very, very dangerous. Just the other day, I told my friends that my concern, because I live in university and I teach in university, my concern is that I see more and more students who are studying in computer science. They are the ones who are more fundamentalistic compared to students who are learning social science. And I think part of the reason is because in this computer science, they are taught to think or to look at reality in a binary perspective. There is only 0 and 1, and that is what I call binary. And when they are training their brain with that kind of binary perspective, then when they come in the world and see reality, they will also see reality as 0 and 1, black and white. There is no in between. If you only have two options, becomes my friends or becomes my enemies. And this is,
you have another 2 minutes, please.
Yes, okay, sure. Yeah, so that is very, very important to mention about the narrative, because we live in this kind of world in which it is full of violence and hate narrative. Dr. Khalifa has mentioned that extremism is not a nature. Extremism is nurtured by the narratives that our family believes in and we live out in our everyday life. And lastly, I want to mention about social practice. It is very interesting when Dr. Khalifa give example about Women's School of Peace. I think that is the kind of practice or social practice. This is not simply a practice, but a social practice. This is a different from simple practice. What I mean is that, or to give you example, it is quite different between I'm kicking a ball with I'm playing soccer. So I'm kicking a ball, it is an act, it is an individual practice. I can be a very, very good kicker, but it does not mean that I'm automatically become a good soccer player. If I want to become a good soccer player, then I need to get involved in social practice, in soccer. And therefore, the existence of social practice like Women's School of Peace, or even in our community of faith, in church, mosque, or schools. So those are the kind of social practice that I would like us to give attention to, because the more we have something like that to practice virtue that can help children to learn and practice about peace and tolerance, then we may have hope that a culture of peace may prevail in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I share thank you very much for the discussion that already elaborate the discussion in this session. And now I just share you the question from the chat, and maybe later if we still have time, I will I invite you for the direct questions. The first from Henry Victor. In the modern society, parents have forgotten that they are the source for children good manner, which centered practical ideological should be constructed to make parents responsible for the manner of their children. Second question is, would both speaker mind elaborating more in the importance of nurturing marriage relationship in building the fundamental principles of interreligious harmony in the sense of crisis, considering the increasing number of divorce amid the pandemic era? I think for these two, and the third is from Sabto Nugroho. When we talk about the importance of the family in building a culture of tolerance, we cannot forget the preparation for marriage. Are there steps that can be proposed or taken so that marriages are really prepared seriously to become a tolerant family? And the second question from him is spiritual protection. As Dr. Ratna mentioned, is often interpreted narrowly. Parents teach their children that associating with friends of other religion is a threat. How to overcome such belief? I think we will start from first from Ruby, because Miss Ruby, because she is about to leave before 5 p.m. Please, time is yours, Ruby. Please unmute the speaker. Sorry, the host.
Okay, I will try to answer.
Yes,
Okay,
okay.
please.
Sorry for the technical error.
For us.
So it's very hard question because maybe comparing my marriage life with some of you here are longer, but I think what I learned from the marriage is about openness. It's about understanding that we are two individuals coming from different background of the family and also social, political, as well as the on the cultural side. And I'm married with somebody coming from different ethnic from Minangkabau, so it's totally different. So I myself took 1 year to really make us coming into decision, yes, I marry you. Why? Because as a feminist, I'm very concerned. Why? Because as a feminist, I'm very concerned how my spouse is actually understand my big goal in the society and really understand that I am busy and I am I love to work with the community. I have many engagement and those things, and the flexibility is much more actually can bring our marriage until this stage, realizing that we are changing time to time. But what we understand that when we are changing, we know that we can communicate each other. That actually the very basic value, that a principle that we need to taught to the young generation, that the married life is not black and white. It's a very negotiating every day. And we myself looking at every day, I find something new from my husband, and I'm learning from him a lot. So but in the program we want to bring the idea of how to soften the heart of the husband, because in reality there are many wives that actually not comfortable enough to talk or to start conversation with the husband. Married is all about like the children and the work and finish. There is no other way around to really appreciating, you know, they invented the way we try to get the husband engaged by doing homework after the school. So the wife actually bring homework, and then the homework must be work together by husband, done by husband and also the children. So that actually the way we facilitating the family to start conversation. The other also, we actually bring the family into, we call it family gathering. This is part of the program that actually bringing husband and children. And one of the section that we are very much favoriting, everybody loves this, is actually to make the husband remembering what is the first attraction to his wife that make him falling in love and finally married her. And we want the husband to remember and to write the beautiful love letter to the wife in order to bring back romanticism, because with that actually men become very soft because they're exercising femininity in that process. When men actually exercising more femininity, you will see that there are a lot of opportunity for men to understand, you know, the words or the narrative coming from the wife. And that is actually the very possible, the wife can actually enter with more and more new knowledge to the man. And we're realizing that without men in our program will be not possible to really change the entire of the family member, including extended family, as well as in the community. So I don't hate men. I really want men is actually bringing the idea of gender equality and women empowerment. So currently, the Ministry of Religious Affairs already conducted. They already installed one program. They call it pre-marriage short course that actually already integrated with the material relating or the subject relating with gender in Islam, and also parenting and some other issue that giving the more open and moderate perspective. This program is actually rooted from the moderation program that invented by the Ministry of Religious Affairs and previously and now is continuing to expand into different fields. So again, I want to conclude here that in our experience, it is not perfect, of course. And then this is very unfortunate. Many women not successful. One is because the husband don't want to change himself. And then very difficult for the women having the partner who has different idea about the future and about how to engage with the community. Therefore, when we approach women, we would like to also change and shift the paradigm of men and also the children. Then we can see they can work together to really transform the community. And when I flash back what happened in 2007, when men very curious with why the women need to learn and why they to go back the so-called school, it's because the women not enough actually learning, and they actually drop out from the school. And with the school that we introduced, men are very curious. Therefore, we actually intentionally putting the school from one place to another place, that actually creating or pushing men to witness what are the subject that actually the women are learning, and men very curious about that, and men would love as well to actually learning from us, and then because they also want to be the agent of peace when they see the wife is actually very active in responding the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, time for Dr. Ratna, please. Unmute.
All right. Okay.
Already.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Martinus. Right, and thank you for those who are asking the questions. Okay. For the first questions, okay, if I may read, can I have the question?
Okay.
Hang on. Yeah, I got it here. Maybe I can read it from here, from Henry Victor. Yeah, so you are asking the practical ideology, right? So for me, now it's time to get back to your religion. Every of us have religion. Get back to religion. Audah ila tawhid, when we mean by, in Islam, get back to religion and extract the spiritual value, the religious value of religion, right? So with that, you can come out with the very the value of life, and then it will provide you the meaning, purpose, and value of life. Okay, so by knowing your meaning, purpose, and value of life, you have a guideline, you have like a compass why you are here, and then where do you come from, why you are here, and what next, where you going to. So this kind of thing that I can, regardless of any position we are, although you're asking here to make parents responsible for the manner of the children. If we are parents, so we understand that we are here, we have a responsibility towards our children. Yeah, why? Because we are here, it's temporary, we are going somewhere, right? So that we need to do the best with the task given to us, because we are accountable for the task, right? So for me, to answer this question, get back to the very basic, know the meaning, purpose, and value of life. Life is a gift, embrace it. Okay. For the next questions, okay, you are asking about try to elaborate more on the importance of nurturing marriage relationship in building. Yeah, I think this is the same thing. You should not find the common ground. Between both of you, and then, but the most important, of course, is a love, right? But for the love that you have, you need to fall back on what? Okay, is it because of, love both of you? Yeah, we love each other because of a God, or because of what? So you need to have a very basic foundation of fundamental, because I believe if you both of the man and woman, you have a very solid foundation, right? So you can navigate your life very well. Okay, so this is my brief answer for the questions. And the next is you are asking about the important the family, other steps that can propose some. I think this question is being answered by Ibu Ruby. Okay, and the fourth one about spiritual protection, yeah, is interpreted narrowly by parents. So again, this is a time for us parents to educate our children, to have a big picture, to have a clear understanding about religion, right? For example, about Islam, yeah. Get back to the value, love, spread love and compassion to each and everyone, not just a human being, but all the creation of God, right? So it's all begins with you yourself. If you have a value, love and compassion of your value, regardless of who they are, whether what skin color, what religion to practice, as long as they are human being, yeah, you need to be kind to them, you need to love them, and then you need to, and then all the basic or the core value of human being. Okay, so in this case, we as parents should understand first and foremost in this context, and then educate the children that in this case, whether they are alim or they are kind of religious, it doesn't matter, because we are not supposed to judge them, because it's all, I mean, as you said, that in akramakum indallahi atqakum. So we don't know the level of their piety, only God knows. Yeah, just leave it to God. But what we know, we need to be kind to all human beings, the fellow human being, regardless of, as I said, what religions they are, what skin color they are, as long as they are human being, and also the animal being actually, just be kind to them, right? So the basic thing is it's all begins with you yourself, the value that you uphold inside, right? So I think this is all my brief answer for those questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We actually have one question more, but I will invite Pak Sri Nur Hartanto to directly ask your question. Please be short because we have only 10 and 15 minutes. Please. Unmute Pak Sri Nur Hartanto. Please. The community host.
Okay, thank you very much, Father Martinus Joko. Yeah, to all speaker, I would like to get your response relating the conditions, of the family, particularly learning from the condition or situation in my country, Indonesia, when there are a family, make indoctrination to their children for becoming to be the actor for bombing suicide. Yeah. As you know, based on our discussion in the first session and then in the second session, the family is very important to spread out or to transform the best values relating for respecting one another, relating for respecting the human being. But in the reality, we can find that the certainty family based on the quote-unquote ism that transform the wrong knowledge for the children, and the impact of it is the children become the victim. Yeah, what is your response relating in the certainty family, in the certainty religion isms? Yeah, we can find out about the condition, something like that. I do believe, I do really agree with the statement was made by the speaker, Mrs. Ratna Rosida just now. The important thing, and also stressing by the Ibu Ruby, the family is very important. But if the parent make a mistake by transferring the bad knowledge for the children, wow, it is very, very horrible, the impact of it. Please give me a comment relating my idea this one. Thank you very much, Father Joko.
Thank you very much, Sri. And we have also here 3 questions, one for each. From Surya Samanta, question for Ibu Ratna: how is it possible to change people belief worldview, especially to adults that seemingly have a fixed belief? For the Ibu Ruby, Miss Ruby, on the evaluation of Indonesian women extremists, how to counterpart the systematic recruitment. It is an underground movement and difficult to detect. Do we also need to create such systematic countermeasures? And to Pak Paulus, as discussion, there is a question: any practical suggestion on how to develop self-awareness or actualization to binary mindset? Please, now time is for Ms. Ruby first, because we have a limited time for you, and please. And later, I think you need to have also a final remark for our discussion. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I think if we think about the systematic countermeasures, government already provided, but in practical, according to my experience, one is actually what we need to have is individual with a strong critical thinking. I do believe 100% that critical thinking actually helping definitely to refuse the ideology that is very much, in black and white. Because in critical thinking, you will see that you have to connect different factors when you do analysis. I think University of Indonesia already did a research regarding what type of individual that easy to be recruited by the extremists is actually somebody who don't have complexity in thinking, meaning that somebody who has the black and white thinking or binary thinking, that's very easy actually to be recruited. And therefore, what Paulus mentioned about why the students coming from science are more and more actually easily to be engaged in the in intolerance idea or even radical idea. The second one, what I would like to say that the plural habitus is very key. We need to introduce in our family, including our society, the different references, way of thinking, including the knowledge. One of that we introduced in the program of the Women's School for Peace is they learn different religion in understanding the role of women. We allowing them actually to learn different religion, how different religion actually say about the role of women. So they not only thinking that Islam having the perspective, but they also need to think other religion may also have a different interpretation, yeah? And the different interpretation are allowing and growing in our society. But of course, we need to see like which one is much more providing benefit and equality for men and women and including other gender. So creating doubt in this case is very important, as I mentioned. But however, we need to have progressive mentor in order to be able to help somebody who already engaged or attracted by radical ideology. They need to have a strong mentor in order to create better pathway for this engagement. One is introducing the different books, in creating space for discussion, giving, exposing to the community where different identities or a different social background, they can actually work together or they can live together, and that's possible. That actually make our world is running, not the single identity. So they need to open their mind and they need to see the reality, because so many doctrine that they're receiving bring them into the illusion of the Islamic State, and that illusion need to be broken by introducing more diverse idea and more real engagement in our society, that our society is diverse and diverse is nature, because God is willing to see the world is diverse. So I hope with this closing remark that I appreciate this conversation and also the conference, and we looking forward to see all of you to another conversation that more and more enriching our understanding and practices relating with how we can actually respect diversity and using family as a sources of resilience from any narrow-minded thinking or ideology. Thank you so much. And with that, can I excuse from this forum? I have to jump to another meeting. Yes. Thank you so much for the speaker and also the discussant learning from all of you.
Yeah,
Assalamualaikum.
we have virtual applause for.
Thank you so much, Ibu
Thank you so
Ruby.
much, Ibu Ruby.
Thank you, Ibu Ratna. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
we
Bye.
go to Paulus first, and later we go for the closing remark also for Ibu Ratna. Now, Paulus, please. May I ask you for another 5 to 10 minutes now? Yeah, we have already the limited time, but yeah, we still have 2 questions. Please be because we still have 2 questions. Please, Pak Paulus.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, first I think we need to be aware that most of us now depends too heavily or even solely on our senses, especially our ears and our eyes. And that makes us very, very easily get trapped. And we even believe whatever we see or whatever we hear. And we do not think whether it is a fact or it is a hoax. We get easily what it's called a post-truth culture. That is our culture now, and therefore we need to always be aware that we have to be cautious and even suspicious on what we see and what we hear. And that is the first thing. So we have to train our senses so that we do not just believe whatever we see and whatever we hear. We need to have what Dr. Khalifa has said about critical thinking, or in my own term, I used to the word abstraction. So we need to train our brain to always doing an abstraction so that we do not rely on senses, on what we see or what we hear. We need to have an abstraction. And that is why I always suggest to our colleagues in computer science, I ask them to give assignment to students, not simply about math or physics, but encourage them to write an essay, because when they are writing, then they will train their brain with abstraction, and that will help. That is one thing. And secondly is we need to develop a habit to always think alternatively. So do not think like a horse with just one perspective, that we have to believe that there are many options, there are many alternatives. And I do know that this is difficult, especially among the adherents of the monotheistic religions, because we tend to believe there is only one way to heaven. And therefore, we suddenly have a very, very narrow perspective. Our perspective is only heaven or earth or hell. So if you are not my friend, then you are my enemies. So that kind of binary perspective that we need to get rid of it. We need to train ourselves that there are also other ways. There are always other alternatives. And if we get into conflict, then weapon and violence is not the only way to resolve the conflict. God has created us with creativity to think. We are not like animals who is born with what integrated or inherent weapons. They have claws, or they have poison, or they have horn. But human beings, we do not have such thing. What God has inherited to us is that we have creativity. That is what distinguishes us from the animal. And that is the creativity that we need to always train so that we can escape from this binary entrapment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paulus, for the insightful speaking. And then now for Dr. Ratna, please, you have time to answer the questions and also for the closing remark for our session, please.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Yeah, I totally agree with Ibu Ruby and also Dr. Papa Paulus, okay, for what you have said, okay. Because it's all begin with the way you think, okay, the way you think of something. So for me, it's time actually to unlearn and to relearn, right? Try to look things from a big perspective, right? So just don't limit yourself, right, to the thing that you have already had, and then have a clear understanding. For example, each and every the religion you have, for example, Islam, try to understand Islam in a very big understanding, right, about how to deal with all the in the context of human being that been created by Allah, right? The most important thing is don't just be so narrow-minded, okay? Be broad-minded of something, right? And also do not be so complacent with what you have already had, right? Try to at least open a new door, try to understand or try to learn others' culture and others' value. There you can see that, I mean, how actually big this world is. Okay, so the most important thing is change the way how you perceive the world, how you perceive your life. Have a right perspective about this life as a whole, as a life as a whole, and then according to the, of course, the lens provided by religion, but have a right perspective about it. And then just don't limit yourself. Don't be so narrow-minded. Okay, I think that's a very crucial, and don't be so fanatic, okay, and also chauvinism, things, all the ism. Try to look things in a big picture. I think that's among the main things, a very important message that I want to highlight today, especially for because of the most of the question is regarding how the Muslim, okay, perceive them in terms of the they themselves, right? Seem that more religious compared to those who's not really religious, and probably for the other perception towards other religions, right? So I think, Doctor, yeah, I think that's my answer for the questions. Okay. And then
the closing remark.
All right, for the concluding remark. Yeah, first and foremost, thank you so much. Okay, for I'm so grateful for being here in this conference. And what I would like to emphasize here is get back to religion and then try to extract the religious value, the value each of every religion, right? So because that value will dictate your behavior, right? So when we talk about value, as I said, that we have the spiritual component, try to empower component, give the best, and then give the right that spiritual component, as try to feed them very well. Yeah, if you know how to feed your physical very well, your spiritual component also need to be fed very well. So you should know how to feed your spiritual component, because it's all begin here in our that component in our heart, right? In the heart. If we could, each and every one of us could be first, if that spiritual component is healthy, it will become an individual. The individual will be healthy, and when the individual will be healthy, the society will be healthy, and then the community and the world as a whole will be healthy, right? So, yeah, my message is that because we are talking about peace and tolerance and any others value, so now is a time to get back to ourselves, because that's where our essence is, our spiritual, right? So with that, again, thank you so much to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation and your answer and your elaboration of this topic. Thank you very much for our insightful discussion, especially to our to speakers and to discussion and all participants. We are working hand in hand in achieving peace on the earth. I conclude our discussion with beautiful anonymous text that is usually called the prayer of Saint Francis. I go back to the Fratelli Tutti from Pope Francis, the one that take name of Francis of Assisi as his name as in his papacy. Peace prayer. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring love. Where there is offense, let me bring pardon. Where there is discord, let me bring union. Where there is error, let me bring truth. Where there is doubt, let me bring faith. Where there is despair, let me bring hope. Where there is darkness, let me bring your light. Where there is sadness, let me bring joy. Let us become the instrument of the peace, and it is started in the family, in the place where we are living in our daily life. Thank you very much for this insightful discussion, and I give the time to Mas Rifki as the DMC, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Father Martinus Jogalolono. It was a fruitful discussion we have over there. But sadly, we have to end our discussion for today. And we will continue our discussion tomorrow at 12:30 a.m. So please, for all the participants to join us back at Saturday at 12:30 a.m. Under the theme, we will discuss under the theme of maintaining human solidarity in the post-pandemic era. Until then, thank you very much for all who contribute to this event, and have a nice evening. Thank you.
Thank you.